Welcome to the Nature's Image Farm podcast. We're glad you're here. I'm Greg.
And I'm Susan. And together we're raising 7 kids on the farm and learning life lessons along the way.
So pull up a chair, rest your heels, and let's talk all things bees, homesteading, and the old-time ways.
Let's get after it.
If you're interested in nukes, packages, queens, or supplies, visit us on the web at nature'simagefarm.com.
Well, hey guys.
Good evening.
Welcome back to another Sunday night chat on the Nature's Image Farm podcast and the Nature's Image Farm YouTube channel. Hope everyone's been enjoying this beautiful weather, and what a beautiful weekend for most parts of the country. Today it was nice. Yesterday was pretty bad. There was real high winds, all over the place. Today there was tornadoes. So not here, but in different parts of the country, especially down south. So hopefully you and your bees are doing well and nothing got upset too much. We had a little bit of issues with the wind.
Yeah, lots of high wind.
Real high wind, and we're on top of a ridge, so we get it seems like the worst of it, especially the ridge that gets the western wind kind of hitting across it. But we had some hive lids blow
Did you get
off.
Stung on the lip or the nose? Which one?
I did get stung on the nose today, checking in on some things. But
getting your nose where it doesn't belong.
That's right, poking my nose there where it didn't belong, I guess. But anyways, not too bad. We're thankful that all the bees are still doing good, and was no real damage to speak of. But
that's right.
Yep. So all kind of new exciting things. We took Sunday off last week, didn't we?
Yes. It was a long weekend.
It was. We were down in Clarksburg, West Virginia at the Honey in the Hills, the West Virginia Beekeepers Association Conference.
Yeah.
What a fantastic time that was. And we're going to talk about that tonight. So we had just barely gotten home, and there was just no way we were going to be able to do any kind of a decent job just blabbing on here live on our YouTube channel last Sunday night. So we took last Sunday night off.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did, because we sure did need it.
We needed the rest. Sometimes, you just got to know when to call it and go to sleep.
We were, we'll get into it, but I was so just brain dead, tongue tied, and whipped. We needed to take the time off. We got a couple guys checking in who we did see in West Virginia.
That's right.
We've got our buddy Rob Pollock at Robbie's. It was good to see Rob and Lori and Pops.
That's right. All the kids got to visit.
So be on the lookout for an upcoming interview with Rob Pollock from Robbie's that was live from the Honey in the Hills Beekeeping Conference. Charlie Vance, the West Virginia Hillbilly Honey, checking in. Good to see you again, Charlie. We saw Charlie at the conference and got to sit down and talk a little bit with Charlie and get to know him on the camera for the podcast. So be on the lookout for an interview with Charlie Vance coming up soon too.
I miss all the good stuff. I didn't know either one of those happened.
I know. You should see all the good stuff. The content we got was just unreal.
So
just
cool.
Really unique opportunities to speak with some really great people. And it was pretty cool. So so that's kind of big news. I wonder if should we get the big puppy reveal now, or should we do it later?
I don't know. I would have to message Annie.
You'll have to get a hold of Annie and see if she can part with the pup.
If she can part with the pup for a second.
For just a minute.
See.
We'll show everybody.
Call Beckon it.
Ian, it's been 2 Sundays already. Time is flying. It's crazy. You guys got to stay tuned here. We're going to summon the hound and see if we can bring in the new pup. You guys get the first look. But what a great conference in West Virginia. It's really shaping up to be. It had this vibe of hive life a couple years ago. It had this vibe that it was something new, something different, something big, and you could just feel like it was catching momentum as you were there. and that it was going to make it. It was going to be something great. That's exactly what the West Virginia Beekeepers Association conference, the Honey in the Hills conference was. They were over 400 people. It was a sold out event, fantastic speakers and vendors and food and coffee. We're going to get into all of that. What made that conference so great? And the reason we say that is I think there's a lot of states who could take notice.
Yes.
And what they did in West Virginia, what they do at Hive Life. People are showing up and voting with their wallets. They are saying, this is what we want. This is what we want to support. This is what we want to see and be a part of. And of course, Hive Life is in tune with that. But the folks at the West Virginia Beekeepers Association, they're aware of that. And boy, what a turnout that was.
One word: hospitality.
Never have I seen such hospitality for vendors and speakers. So we have okay, let's see. We got to hold it. We got to block the camera. Okay, big review. Don't mind all the bee stings all over my hands there. Okay, ready? All right.
Okay, ready?
All right, Mama, you hold it. You hold him. Ready? I'll let you give him the big reveal.
Eat my face or hair.
Yep,
he's gonna eat me. Okay.
He's gonna eat you.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, you ready?
Puppy paws.
All right, ready?
Okay, here we go.
3, 2, 1. Introducing Fritz, the German short hair pointer. Fritz.
Oh, thank you, Fritz.
Oh,
the camera's the other way. Oh, are you shy?
so for folks, if you don't know, yeah, Susie grew up raising German short-haired pointers. Comes from a long family history of gun dogs and trap shooting, and so it's been a long time since we had a short hair in the family. And that last trip out to South Dakota, doing some bird hunting, it just stirred up something in us where it was time to get another short hair back. So let's see, and let's I'm gonna put the mic up here. Let's see if we can.
He's being shy. He's like he
camera
loves the
shy.
shoulders.
He likes to.
He likes to be on shoulders. There we go. Okay.
All right, big
boy.
There he is.
Say hello. Say hi, Fritz.
He's a good pup.
Yes.
He's almost nearly kennel trained. He's had one accident, and that was more of a kennel thing. What? Look, are you camera shy? But
he's like, let me go back to my lap.
Look at these big old ears. He's just big, old, soft, furry ear, just silky ears.
Yeah.
Look at him. Look, Fritz, you're on camera. I was like, yeah.
I don't know about this.
Looks like we woke him up from a nap.
Yeah, I think he was
here.
getting snuggled.
But let's see. Let's see if I can. Oh, we're stuck here.
No.
Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. There he is.
Big boy.
But isn't he cute?
Oh,
Look,
he's so cute.
he's got
We don't need to see his butt.
Cute, yeah, of course. He's got a cute little dark tail.
Oh, goodness sakes.
You know, for being out in the field. But
that's a lot of intimate area that he doesn't probably want to
I'm
see
sorry.
on
I should have asked him first.
Yes.
Fritz, did you want to be on camera?
Did he sign any waivers?
Did he sign any waivers? I don't know. So everyone say hi to Fritz. So there he is. We're so excited. He's so much fun. He's getting lots of love from all the kids, plenty of snuggles and couch time.
Yeah.
And we have to remind the kids, like, don't put him in your bed and sleep with him. He's got to learn to get crate trained first.
That's right.
So no accidents in the house or anything like that. But he's so incredibly smart. This breed of dog, they're just so intelligent. It's been a lot of fun because Annie's been spending a lot of time with him, making sure he goes out and goes potty. He has a spot. And as soon as he's done, like in the middle of the night, if he starts, hollering and needs to go out and go potty, as soon as he's done, he is beelines right back to the door already. So we just picked him up a couple of days ago, and we're having a lot of fun with him. So there he is.
Lots of snuggles.
All right, everyone. There he is. Fritz, the German short hair pointer. Here, Luke. You want to say hi, Luke?
Hey.
There he is. All right. You can take him back. See you, Fritz.
Thank you, buddy. Let me get the door for you. Thank you.
So it's a lot of fun. They're such good dogs. The short hairs are, and it's awesome to be able to. We went and picked them out a couple weeks ago. I think we talked about that in a previous episode. You kind of just let the dog pick you.
Yeah.
And this one did. He just looked good. We talked about all the things that we were looking for.
Yes.
And so, boy, he is just.
He checked off so many boxes on the list of things, that my grandpa would have really loved in a dog, and that we loved in a dog. He is great with the kids.
he totally loves the fact that he's getting loved on. Maybelle is, starting to, I can't even say she's warmed up to him yet, but she's accepting the fact he's in the same room. So we'll see. It'll be a work in progress there, but he's doing really well. And I think German short hairs, although Australian Shepherds were really easy to train too, I just think super intelligent dogs love attention, super love couches.
Yeah. But then they also get to a point to where, sometimes where a dog is naturally an inherent wired to do a certain thing.
Yes.
Like you got to be able to give them the opportunities to do that. So,
yeah,
at least the short hair that we had in the past, they're on a mission. They want to hunt. They want to be out. They want to be finding birds. And
we're just making sure the birds aren't chickens.
That's right.
We're pheasants and quail and things, but not chickens, and no cats.
No cats.
So we're going to train that out of him. So
yeah, exactly. So we're trying to make sure he gets plenty of time with the cats and the chickens. I don't think we'd have to worry about pigs and
no, I don't
bees.
think so.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see how much of a bee dog he turns out to be, but I got a feeling he's going to be the jump in the front seat of the truck and go to the shop and see everybody for learning yard days, I'm sure too. But yeah. So anyways, there's the big puppy reveal. Fritz, the German short hair pointer.
That's right.
So that's a lot of fun. So a couple of a comment here from Rob at Robbie's. Greg got into the bees today. Mom and I were blown away with the bees we got from you. I had to do several splits that I wasn't planning. Some of the strongest boxes I ever had this early. That's fantastic.
That's great news.
I'm glad that they're doing so well. Rob,
awesome.
We've talked about this genetic line before, is they will pause and they will just very frugally grow until the weather's right. And then when the weather is right, they turn it on and they don't look back.
Yep.
And so Rob, being in Maryland, he's probably just a hair warmer. I know for us, our overwintered colonies, they're just, boy, are they growing nicely. We were watching them kind of slowly go and go and go. And then all of a sudden, when we started seeing dandelions, they just turned it on, and man, they have not looked back. They are growing so great. But what a great asset it is to have bees that that grow at the right time. They don't waste any energy going too soon.
Yep.
And end up burning up all that brood or getting them all chilled out. But anyways. The bees are buzzing. We've had a lot of days where we've been out there putting feed on, putting pollen patties on, getting them going. And I'm so glad. I gotta be careful how I say this, but I'm so glad that we look to the trees and that we look to nature for the signs on what and when to do things, rather than a calendar or somebody saying this or saying that. We made, I think, some really good choices based on what we were seeing in those signs in the weather. And we got an early jump, and the bees are looking fantastic because of that. So I'm really glad that we did that. That's going to pay off huge as the season kind of goes, rather than just waiting until, a lot of folks say, oh, March is, you don't count your chickens before they hatch when it comes to bees, because, well, March is still a big year. And, well, it was only, everything was about 3 weeks early, and it stayed that early. Right now, as we were coming home today from the farm, we have on the homestead here right behind the house, we've got several fruit trees that we planted a couple years ago.
I hadn't even noticed, but you're taller than me, and I guess when you're looking up, you're seeing a different aspect.
Well, I'm also just geeking out too. We all look at different things.
You did actually plant all those.
I
didn't do that part.
Yeah, we planted those. That particular tree.
I was looking at my blueberries though.
I haven't even seen the blueberries. What are they doing?
They're shorter. I don't know. They're there still.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. I noticed when we got home. So right now, here in East Central Ohio, we've got dandelions are just coming out of the woodwork everywhere. There's still some daffodils on. The forsythia is still on. It's on its way out.
Yeah.
But what I noticed is that our pears have the blooms are tight like this. And I think in the next day or two, the blooms are all going to open, and we're going to see pear blossoms everywhere.
I think with this week, the weather will probably be okay enough to do that.
There's something magic that happens with nature. When you get 3 days of 50 degrees in a row and the soil temperature hits 50 degrees for 3 days in a row,
Yeah.
everything just goes. They don't stop. They don't turn around. It might take them a little bit more time, but when you get some days in the 60s and the 70s, they just keep pushing on. And so right now we're seeing, I think a lot of folks are going to see the calorie pear, the wild pear, the Bradford pear are all going to start blooming here shortly, which is way ahead of schedule, which means apple blossom is going to be probably a little ahead of schedule too, which I'm really excited because that's my favorite time of year. And why is that? Grafting. It's like when apple blooms are on, you can do no wrong. You can make gobs and gobs of queens. Everything sticks. Everything does well. There's so much abundant nectar coming in. So I'm really looking forward.
Yeah,
really looking forward to that. So I think that's pretty much what else is popping up. We've got the comfrey leaves are poking up out of the ground, and they're already starting to be 2 to 3 inches tall.
Yeah.
It won't be long, and those will be just big and abundant and awesome. So spring has been on its way for quite some time, and it's fun when you get days like today. Today it was 64 degrees or so, 65, beautifully sunny, no wind. Yesterday, however, we probably had 40 to 60 mile an hour winds, and to just try to be outside,
just to stand straight.
I mean, this probably goes without being said, but I am not exactly a thin fella.
Oh, I was like,
I'm a husky lad, and when I'm out there and it catches me off guard and the wind moves me, we're talking about some serious wind.
Yeah.
So yesterday was not a day to be out hanging any sheet metal on the building. So that could have been dangerous.
Yeah.
So we got a bunch of other things done, and then today we're working on some more metal here at the farm. Got things. It's going to be as close to ready as we can for everyone to pick up their packages on April 8th and then April 29th. And then our nuke pickups, of course, will be late May, early June. So we're going to get things in ship shape.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm tired.
That sounds good.
Yep, we're out. But anyways, that's kind of what's going on here in the spring. We'll talk more about that next Sunday. Today, we want to get in and talk about the Honey in the Hills, West Virginia Beekeepers Association Conference down in Clarksburg, West Virginia. What an amazing time. Susie, as we kind of dig into that, what was one of the biggest things that you're like, wow, this is crazy. This is insane. This is awesome.
Well, like I said, I think that was one word for me, hospitality. It was hospitality. They just went above and beyond, and having our entire family there actually at the conference instead of, half of them, in a hotel playing in the water slides and stuff. I mean, they were just so kind and amazing to be. Everybody was so amazing with the kids and the vendors. It just was awesome. Just really awesome.
I've never been to a conference where there's a sign when you pull up and it says vendors park here. And as soon as you park and put the truck in park, here's 6 guys coming out of the building with huge carts that they handmade just for the conference to unload you.
Yeah.
And they just say, okay, point, and we'll go put it where you want.
I was only 20 minutes behind you in the van. Okay. So mind you, I wasn't very far behind him. I was one potty stop behind Greg and having all the kids with me. And before I even got parked, the trailer was almost nearly unloaded.
Wow.
It was crazy. I couldn't believe it.
I guess I didn't realize it was only 20 minutes time, because I no sooner got to take the open up the trailer and just cut up with a couple of the guys there, and it was unloaded, and it was at our vendor booth area, and I just thought, man, that is awesome.
So cool.
Anyone who's been a vendor anywhere for anything, one of the absolute things that you dread is load in and load out.
Yeah.
And one thing that the Honey in the Hills conference did that I've never seen before is they got everybody unloaded so quick. But they also, when it was time to load out and to pack it up and go home, they were as strong.
Yes.
Which was amazing, because when you're at the end of the rope there and you're done and you're wore out, I can't even tell you how much of a blessing that was to have so many folks just load us up.
Yeah.
We were exhausted, and that made such a huge difference. that was one of the big things, you know, how well their communications are. I mean, they are constantly in communication. What do you need?
Yes. Do
Through
you need anything?
just the organization aspect of it, from all the emails and just the constant line of communication with them
So
as a
great.
vendor, but also a speaker, was huge. So
Yeah.
not only were we vendors there, I gave 2 talks and had a roundtable panel discussion.
Right.
And so there's a lot of organizing and thinking through, you know, that has to happen.
And
And
then
they
you
were
had
just on
that
point.
little bonus talk with Natalie with the kids.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
They
Well,
had a lot of cool kids stuff. Like our kids absolutely had a ball.
I think they had, I don't even know how many, 60 or 70 kids in a beekeeper in training, the BIT program.
Yeah, it
Um,
was so cool.
just a packed out room of kids who were on fire for beekeeping and learning. It was awesome. Natalie did a great job. She headed that up and did a great job just sharing what they do at Hitch Hive Honey, and did a great job answering questions and fielding all kind of questions. And I mean all kind of questions. She did a great job. One of the biggest things, and we'll talk about it a little bit more too. And they don't want the credit, and I'm not shouting them out because they want the credit. But Larry and Marianne Sears are just a tremendous blessing to so many folks in their local community that would just, you know, love them to pieces. But they did something really special for all of the a lot of the kids there. And you know, we're talking about and we're in the heart of West Virginia. You know, a lot of folks know that West Virginia is one of the most gorgeous, beautiful states, and is just a culturally rich part of the country, where they may be absolutely rich in the things that a lot of us measure true wealth in, family, and having abundance and a homestead, and having that connection with God and community and fellowship. They're the wealthiest folks I think I've ever met.
Yeah.
Financially speaking, though, it is one of the most impoverished areas of the entire country. And because of that, Larry and Marianne Sears, they worked really hard to build a lot of colonies to be able to give to a lot of the kids there, so that those kids would have the equipment to get started in beekeeping. You know, there are swarms, people can give you bees, but one of the greatest expenses, one of the biggest hurdles, is actually getting started. And what a tremendous blessing that they were to so many kids, getting them set up with their first hive. Awesome job. Looking forward to talking more about that a little bit later. But I got to shout them out because they are just beautiful people doing great things for their local people there. That's what it's about. That's what it means to be a lighthouse. And so that was awesome. That was one of the things that just was, wow, really, really blew me away. You know, it's one thing where, you know, an organization can get funding and donations in, right? And they can turn around and they can buy the equipment. But when these folks did it on their own and hand built every single part of that hive, man, that was cool. So just what an incredible place, incredible people. A lot of great talks.
I did not. You know what the cool thing was? The vendors were actually in the main ballroom. So I got to hear some of the main ballroom talks. Of course, I missed all Greg's, but that was pretty cool because I really enjoyed being able to hear. I never get to go to the talks at the conferences. I'm just at the booth all the time. So it was kind of cool to hear that.
It was a great setup where the main stage area was where all the folks were, and most of the vendors were in that giant room.
Yeah.
Including, we had a podcast studio set up.
Yeah, that was cool.
I'm really looking forward to getting out a bunch of great interviews. So many great folks that we got the chance to sit down and talk with, that I think are bringing some new information and a little bit different of an approach. I thought was just amazing. But I got to sit in and listen to Dr. Robin Underwood, her presentation on organic beekeeping. I loved it. I can't wait to talk more about that a little bit later and bring her into that conversation. But we got to sit down and talk with her for the podcast. Also, we got to sit down with Andrew Connor with Wvba's Press. And what a great conversation. He has a new book out called Beecabulary Essentials. You'll know the Essentials line. His dad, Larry Connor, wrote so many incredible books, Increase Essentials, queen rearing essentials, bee sex essentials. The list goes on and on and on. But now Andrew is writing great books, and I was excited to sit down and talk with him. So that's going to be awesome. And speaking of Andrew Connor, coming up here April the 8th, up in the Kalamazoo Expo Center, the Southwest Michigan Beekeeping Expo. Sponsors,
Oh, wow.
there's going to be vendors, demonstrations. We're going to drop a link here in the description. But if you're in the Southwest Michigan area, be sure to check out the Southwest Michigan Beekeepers Expo, and we'll drop links where you can sign up and check that out. That's something that Andrew Connor is putting on. So unfortunately, we have package pickups on that day, and we couldn't be up there and be a part of it, or we 100% would have. And so that's actually what kind of got us connected was through all that. So it just goes to show where it seems like you might miss one opportunity. There's always another opportunity on the cusp if you're willing to look there. So I'm definitely looking forward for some future collaborations with Andrew Connor and WhooWhee's press. Also I got to sit down and spend a little bit of time with Dr. Humberto from Inside the Hive TV. What a great guy. I love the way that he looks at the world and looks at bees. And we got to kind of dig in a little bit on what he sees when he looks into a colony and what that means to him. And so I'm really looking forward to sharing that. We got to sit down with Coron from Wvba and talk more about what Wvba is doing, some new products, and kind of just share why are they doing what they do. That was a lot of fun talking about that too. Got to sit down with my buddy Rob Pollock from Wvba's and just kind of a little back and forth, like how's the conference going? Kind of a mid-conference.
How many pins can you give my kids?
Yeah, our kids were cruising. Our kids are like they're frugal
I think they had
hillbillies
like
at
30
heart.
apiece.
They were just cruising around, getting as much free stuff as they possibly could, which is a funny story. I'm gonna have to reach back out to her, but Robin Underwood with the Penn State Extension. I enjoyed spending time with her for the podcast, and she came up and said, "Hey, try this." And she had these honey sticks, and she said, "Have you tried honeydew from the spotted lanternfly?" And I said,
should
"No."
have known better.
And so I ate it, and I said, "Wow, that's good." And she was like, "Really? What's wrong with you?" And I tried it again. I'm like, "Man, it's actually good. It's kind of got this weird sour sassafras thing kind of going to it." And she's like, "Okay." Right? I think I freaked her out. I liked it. And anyway, so gave me a whole bunch more to try. And I was going to do, we're going to do a little video on it and talk about it some. And I set those honey sticks down at our booth. And there was so much going on. I just sat them down there where I would set my coffee cup or something else that I wanted to come back to later. And I noticed they were gone. What happened to the spotted lanternfly honeydew sticks?
I think your kids happened to them. You can't set any food around. That was a buffet of sweets and candies, like free candies from one vendor, pens from Rob and Lori. I mean, if they had a sticker to get free, they would have gotten it. Those probably, I know one of the kids or maybe two of the kids admittedly said, "Oh, I thought you bought those because they were selling them at the concession stand too." Yeah. So I think that's what they thought they was just concession stand goods.
So I asked little Lily, I said, "Lily, did you pick up any honey sticks from our table?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, okay, cool. Where are they?" And she goes, "We ate them."
Yeah.
And I said, "All of them?" She goes, "They were good." So Robin Underwood, just so you know, the Burns clan absolutely loves the spotted lanternfly honeydew.
Yeah, I don't even know. I didn't have any. So, but I did see some laying there, and I thought for sure that they bought them from the vendor concession or the concession area by our vendors.
So there were plenty of times where the kids like, "Dad, can we have your card? Can we get this? Can we get that?" And they had fun. They worked hard. We all pitched in. So
yeah,
it was fun for them to get, a treat here or a treat there. But they were cruising around all the vendor booths, including Wvba's, just trying to get as many pens. And like, what are the kids going to do with that many pens? I don't know.
I don't know. I was like, "What are you guys doing?"
We're homeschooled though, so that's like gold,
Yeah, they'll give them around at the co-op, and the kids will be like, "What is that?" And then they'll have to explain what a vaporizer is.
Right, exactly. So that it was a lot of fun hanging out with everybody constantly throughout the conference. And also, so Brian Coper was there too, hanging out at the booth. I got to sit down with Brian a little bit too, and just get a little bit of a kind of a mid-conference breakdown, like what's going on, what's going on, what are we all feeling here, what's going on here, why is this thing special?
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. And got to sit down with John Turpin with Strong Microbials. We'll talk more about what that is and why it might be important for you. And so that was it was fun to just, there were so many others folks that we were supposed to sit down with and didn't get a chance to break away. It was so fast and furious. We were really pushing it, getting the amount of interviews that we did. But I missed out on the shrew guru himself, the one and only Mr. Fred Dunn. Didn't get time to pull him away to sit down and talk. But what the kids had so much fun with him. I hope to get that video out a little bit later. But if you guys know Fred or seen Fred, personally, he's just a hoot. I love his dry sarcasm.
Yeah.
And our kids are being
Appreciate
homeschoolers.
it.
They can talk with any adult like they're their friend, like no problem. They can carry a conversation on. So when someone approaches them who is as sarcastic or more as their dad, they just fall into their own thing, right?
Oh yeah.
So Fred, he pops in there, and Luke. What Luke was doing is our son Luke had a little book with him.
Yeah, a little notepad he bought.
Every look at my hands. My hands are all black
Filthy.
from sheet metal and everything else today. Anyways, so Luke had his notebook, and whenever somebody
his Larabi's pen
with his Larabi's pen, and whenever somebody would come to the booth, he would be looking at him, and then he would be
writing the names.
Look, and people are like, "What are you doing, man?" And he said, "Writing down your name." And so they didn't know if he was going to turn them in or what, if he was just keeping track. But it was hilarious. And then so Fred said, "Hey, let me see your notebook." And here's Fred, and he's got a pen, right? Now he's looking at Luke and says, "Okay, Luke, I'm going to draw a picture of you."
Oh yeah.
And so Luke is posing. It looks like this.
Yeah. And he's describing like strong, angry eyebrows.
Yeah,
and
nice chin,
very
nice
strong,
square, powerful chin,
and
a good, nice neckline, and right. He's doing this, and he's drawing, and then he says, "Yep, oh, that's a good looking mustache." And Luke's like, "Mustache? I don't have a mustache." And he's up, "You do now."
Yeah. And
so this had a lot of fun. He had a lot of fun. So when Fred was off to the side there, he was taking a little video. One of the kids asked, they said, "Dad, can we put our farm stickers on all the cars in the parking lot?" And I said, "That is a great idea, but we better not do that."
No.
And then they said, "Can we put one on Fred Dunn?" And of course I said,
yes.
Send it. No, they didn't. But one of them actually snuck over and must have patted Fred on the back. When
that was Annabelle.
Yeah,
it was so Annie.
Put a sticker on there.
Yeah.
So now he's walking around the entire conference with a crooked farm sticker. It was hilarious.
And nobody actually told him. I don't know who told him. Oh, sorry. I don't know who told them that he did that.
Yeah, no, it lasted forever.
It was a couple hours before he actually realized that that's what was going on, that somebody had joked him.
Yep. He was such a good sport. A lot of fun.
He was really fun. I was trying to see if I had that picture that he drew of Luke.
We'll have to post that later.
It was so funny. It was so cute.
So that's the fun thing about that kind of conference.
It was a little slower pace and just super fun. I think everybody got to kind of be with each other and spend time. Yeah. And although it was busy, it wasn't like it seemed very homey, like they all felt very welcome. Like all the kids felt very welcome.
Yep. One thing that they did really well is they made the vendors, the speakers, and all the attendees feel special, feel important, and felt well taken care of the entire time.
Yeah.
There was so much food and coffee, and just the amount of hospitality was absolutely incredible.
Oh yeah.
They did a great job. At all times, they had 50 or 60 staff members on hand the entire time.
Yep.
Just going around constantly to make sure everybody had what they need. Every 10 minutes, somebody would come by and just say, "Hey, do you guys need anything? How you guys doing? If you need anything, just let us know." And just that alone, like it was such a huge thing. And so they did a great job connecting everybody, keeping everybody connected, having that constant line of communication, knowing who to talk to if you did need anything. and then being in a place where you didn't need anything because they did such a good job to give you all the things you needed before you got there.
Oh yeah. Yep,
So,
exactly. It was awesome.
So that was great. So hats off to all the Honey in the Hills green shirt folks out there just working hard, making everything happen. Got to give a special shout out to both Justin King and Mike Lamp. They did an incredible job. There's so many names too behind the scenes on the kind of just on what they're doing to make that happen. Got to sit down with both Mike Lamp and Justin King and talk about this conference, kind of what it means to them. So looking forward to getting those interviews out too. Those will also slowly kind of roll out too. So there were a lot of the vendors that we see, you know, as we travel around and know and call friends. We got to see there this time. And there was a lot of great speakers too. I got to sit in on Fred Dunn. He had a great presentation showing just a lot of the photography and close-ups and all this, just the little things. So it was neat to be able to see bees and beekeeping through the eyes of Fred Dunn and see those in that presentation.
That's
was
cool.
really, really cool. So I got to sit in on that one for a little bit. Got to hear, of course, Kent Williams speak a little bit. Who else did I get a chance? Oh, Dr. Robin Underwood. Got to see that. Got to see a little bit of Paul Kelly in the main room there. And got to see Natalie do her thing with the kids. So I didn't get the chance to see all the speakers, but I really enjoyed the time that I did get to spend with them on the side, just engaging and kind of building those kind of relationships. But I don't know if I'm allowed to say this.
What?
I should probably ask them if I would be allowed to say this. But there was a secret back room, right? That you had to have there was a secret handshake. There was an eye scan. There was a certain kind of a thing that you had to do to get access to this back room. Folks, I need your full and undivided attention. Have you ever been to a room that was an all you can eat pepperoni roll buffet? I'm serious. More pepperoni rolls than you could ever eat in a lifetime. Constantly. Pepperoni rolls, cupcakes, brownies, cookies. More importantly, the life-giving elixir, coffee. Delicious coffee the entire time.
They did a great job on keeping coffee. And then sweet tea. Yes.
Those people,
that was awesome.
They know their audience. They know their own people in that area. And there was coffee on demand all the time. I can't even tell you. I couldn't even begin to tell you how many, what do you call those big carafes? Those big, what do you call those big bun coffee maker deals?
Coffee makers?
Well, they're like coffee makers, but they're
percolators.
Percolators.
It was like percolator.
Oh,
yeah, it was a percolator on the top.
We got to geek out for just a minute here. And we're talking about coffee, right? You folks, not all coffee is created equally. And by created, I mean my favorite cup of coffee, hands down, is made how? Let's see how well Susie knows me after all these years. What is my most favorite way?
It's the percolator on the cook stove.
Oh, the percolator. You just cannot beat a percolator, whether it's on the wood stove or a campfire. There's just something magical about hot water bubbling over coffee grounds over and over and over again. It makes the best cup of coffee. And they had the giant electric percolators.
Yeah.
We've got to get one of those for the shop.
Oh my, I don't know that you need that much coffee.
We need 10 gallons of coffee at all times, at least 5 gallons. Just because, man, when you've got that kind of high quality coffee all the time, you just feel like, hey, I can keep going. I can keep going. I can keep going. I can keep going. I can keep going.
I think you probably need some water.
Probably need some water now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting jacked up just thinking about that coffee.
I know. Woo! That's exactly why I said you need water. I don't know if you need that much coffee.
But anyways, they did a great job. We even I see. Let's see. There's a bunch of comments here. I did see Gary Stewart. Gary, it was great to see you. We had a dinner plan snafu.
I bet Brian was like, I'm gonna send Greg to the wrong place.
Brian did a great job of getting dinner orchestrated with a bunch of us. And told us where it was at. Okay, cool. And then something happened, and the destination changed, so we could get back. They had some live music and a social thing going on there the one night, And so we had to cut the dinner plan short and go to somewhere quicker. Well, I'm just cruising around with Rob and Coron from Wvba, and I'm just following them, right? My truck and trailer is parked at the conference, and me and Izzy are just kind of, cruising around riding with them. Well, there was a destination change. And I guess Rob and Coron, I was the one that Brian texted me and said, "Hey, here's the new place." I was so brain dead. Like my phone was going off all day long, and it was just I had it. I was just trying to be in the moment there, and so I messed up, and when he sent the destination, I thought it was the same place we already talked about. Didn't even look. I was just following the drivers. Anyways, we ended up at a place, some kind of a family restaurant. Everybody else ended up at an Asian buffet.
I ended up at the hotel and watched the kids swim. So
no one got food poisoning. That's the first thing.
There you go.
But I tell you what I did get. I had one of the best liver and onions that I've had in a really long time. It was super, super good. And I don't know if I'm supposed to say this either.
What's that?
But I don't know if a lot of folks know this about Coron at Wvba, but he pretty much should just be a chef. Like maybe his second calling is a chef.
Really?
And so he calls the waitress over and says, "Do you have any red pepper flake and cumin?" And I'm thinking, cumin?
What?
I mean, I'm looking at the menu. Like, I don't see chili. I don't see barbecue. I don't see anything that you would use that smoky seasoning for. And she said, "Matter of fact, we do." And so she brought out cumin and red pepper flake. And he says, "Okay, you got to trust me." And I said, "Okay." So I saved a bite of my liver and onions, and he dressed it up in like a true Turkish fashion, which was covered with salt and pepper, a lot of cumin, and red pepper flake. And it added something. It took liver and onions to like a whole new level that I've never had before.
Wow.
But it had a deeper flavor. It definitely had that smoky but sweet thing with a little bit of a spicy back from that red pepper flake. And I thought, man, just a change, just two little seasoning change made this thing taste like something all different altogether. So that was pretty cool. It's little things like that, getting to know folks, and having those experiences, I think, make these conferences so special. Because bees are awesome. I mean, we don't have to say that, right? We all know it. Bees are awesome, but bees are conduit to the people. Spending time with the people, being a part of someone's life and them yours, I think, is literally where the magic happens at conferences and community and fellowshipping. And so there was a lot of that at the Honey in the Hills conference. What a great time. Just what an absolutely great time. And see, Dan Weaver comments here, West Virginia, the home of the pepperoni rolls and strong minor coffee. They have got those two things absolutely figured out. Awesome. So our buddy Scott Boring says his wife's favorite coffee is the kind that he makes. That's I gotta say that too. Susie makes the best coffee. And somehow, fellas, I don't know how this happens. Whenever I make coffee, it ends up on the countertop and on the floor. So what happens? Susie takes me off coffee duty, and so instead, the coffee's already just there waiting on me every morning. I'm not sure how that happens, but
the mess isn't worth it.
But yeah. So what else made that conference so special, do you think?
Oh my goodness. Well, I obviously it's a different perspective for me because I was there with the kids, and I mean, I just really, really appreciated how kind everybody was, especially to the kids. They all felt very comfortable going and talking to every vendor. Like it was really cool. It felt very homey, and I really appreciated that. So for me, I loved that part of it. It didn't feel overwhelming or too busy or big for the kids to be there and really enjoy themselves. They really had a good time.
That's the interesting thing.
What was your favorite part though? What was your big takeaway or your favorite part of the conference. Because I mean, like for me, I appreciate different things only because I'm there with the kids and I'm on kind of like, I'm there at the vendor booth, but I'm also the mom, making sure like, is everybody, there was enough food. It just seemed very balanced to me.
By now I should have something that sticks out, but there were so many things about it that made it
I hate to narrow it down to just one thing. I don't like doing that because it was
unlimited pepperoni rolls and coal miner coffee wasn't enough. The caliber and quality and the heart of the people that were there, it's tucked away in the hills where it's like being here. It just
really
felt
beautiful.
like home. There was something about the people, their heart, the place, the atmosphere, the setting. It just felt like we were home. It didn't feel like we were in some weird, strange place when everything was different, and it felt like home. It was like, hey, this is our people. We're home. Let's just engage, have fun, be a lighthouse, learn from some folks. And man, that I think there's a certain amount of, I don't want to say traveler's stress when you're in a new region or a new state or a new this, or you're far from home, because different parts of the country, I think, are a little bit different. But everything from how the conference was organized, how everything was executed, how everything was set up inside of there, how well they took care of us.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt like home. It was, if there was ever a conference where you felt the least amount of stress to get there, to get prepared, to get set up, to engage, they just did an amazing job with that. So it's like all of those things make that special. But the absolute most special thing that I think is one of those things that you can't fake, you can't buy, you can't just make happen, you can't pull a rabbit out of nowhere with, is the people. The people were absolutely beautiful, awesome, giving, and I absolutely loved it. There's an old saying that it's something like, those who have least give most. And what I love about that is the folks in that region of the country are some of the most giving folks you will ever meet. Big hearts. They love you. They want to see you do well. They'll give their shirt off their back. And I love that about them. That's a certain type of folks that we resonate with. And it was an awesome time that we spent with them. And it was one of those things where you did feel, we were excited to get home and get back on the road and get the dog and get back to the busy thing here. But when you left there, you felt like you were leaving family, and you were excited because you'd see them all again. So I'm looking forward to kind of seeing them all again in the future. Just such great folks. Man, it was awesome. What's up with Nature's Image Farm here coming up in the next couple of weeks? What are you going to be busy with on the homestead and the garden?
Oh, well, I'm hoping to be busy with the garden, but I've been busy as a bee. Yeah, we're taking care of the building and getting ready for customers. So I'm hoping to see my garden someday soon. I have been busy with new chicks. Our incubator had some chicks hatch out of it, not as many as I would have loved. I think it was my error in the incubator. So we had a few hatch out when we were getting ready to come home. And then I also bartered with a friend for some chicks that she had ordered too many. She ordered too many to get the variety she wanted. So we traded some honey for some chicks. That was a good trade.
That was a good trade.
And got a couple at Rural King. I know. It was just like, oh, just so cute. One's supposed to have some sort of mohawk or something. Anyway. And so we've got chicks in the brooder again. It's good weather for that. So not too cold. But just lots of stuff going on. A puppy, chicks, a garden that I don't have time to
trying to keep boots from being chewed and dogs from going to the bathroom on the floor.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to step in dog doo-doo in the middle of the night or pee with a sock. So I'm trying to keep my priorities, where they're supposed to be. I don't want to put too much on my plate and then feel let down, like I didn't get this done or that done. The garden will happen. I know it will. It does every year. So I'm just going to be patient, and the days that I have available to do it, I will. No biggie.
One of the, I gave 2 talks at the Hunting the Hills conference. One was hard lessons learned growing a bee yard. And the other, which was kind of I put this one together specifically for those folks at West Virginia, but it was homestead beekeeping, making ends meet and creating abundance. And one of the things, one of the points that we made in there was low hanging fruit. We got to spend time when you're in those moments where you feel like you are stressed out, when you feel like everything is just going on all at once, you can get a little bit paralyzed. What do we do? How do we move forward? Sometimes you got to start with the easiest thing first, go after that low hanging fruit, and then just kind of, move forward. It creates momentum. And then one thing leads to the next. And now you're actually getting somewhere. So with the garden and everything else going on at the homestead, there are so many loose ends and projects to be done here. And I think we'll get to a lot of those. But as you're talking about that, it reminds me of all the time that we spent in growing perennials and herbs and fruit trees. That, guess what? No matter what our spring prep is, they're already in place and they're growing and they're moving forward. That asset is continually growing. To me, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get back and try to do, more with the annuals and get the regular annual garden in, and we will. But the low hanging fruit right now all of our time is getting spent getting the new shop put together for folks. So when they come and pick up their packages on 4/8 or 4/29, or they pick up their nukes or their queens or supplies throughout the season, we've got that place ready for them. And so we kind of tackled a big undertaking. We're doing all the work ourselves. It's taken a long time.
Yeah.
But it's really looking good. And it's going to be a fun place to share our experience in beekeeping, have that let's meet in the shop and talk about what is going on right now, and then take that information right out to the learning yard and apply it hands-on. Looking forward to that approach with what we're able to do. It's kind of turned into kind of like a bee ministry, or I think the nickname is bee evangelism, and the fact that we can help support folks and we can be there for them, help that we can help hopefully give them the tools, share the mindset with them, that as they're working through their beekeeping, here is the things to kind of look for. In no way do we say we're an expert or this is the only way to do something. We're just sharing what works for us. More importantly, why we do some of these things working with our bees. And I think what that does is it paints an accurate picture of here's things that can be done in a bee yard and here's why. Now it's a matter of saying, okay, can I plug this into my system? Once you understand the why, the how and the when's easy, but understanding why something is done is really important. A lot of the points that I hit and bring home in the talk we give, hard lessons learned growing a bee yard, is why. It took a long time to figure out why. Once when we started off and we're just copycatting things that we heard or seen or liked, even from folks that we respected, we found that why these things aren't working like we thought they would. Why is that? And so we had to go back to the root. Why are these things done? And then the how and the when was like, okay, that's not a big deal. So sharing that with folks here locally to Ohio, I think is a way that we can help share exactly what we're doing. And then they can kind of pick and choose what works for them. And my buddy Mike Berry's on here. Mike, are you saying that there are no absolutes, Greg? That's right. I love spending time with Mike and Bruce down in Alabama last year. And we talked about that. And yeah, no absolutes. There, as far as absolutes in the bee yard, I mean, as soon as you say this is absolutely what happens, or you should absolutely do this, or there is only one way to do this, that is the fastest way to get humbled.
You're absolutely wrong, because it's not. There is no absolutes. You didn't create it all. So
Right.
it
I'm
will
sure somebody will
come
argue
back to
that
bite you.
the only absolutes in life are death and taxes. Well, for
That's
some
true.
folks, that's some folks never pay taxes and they get by with it, I guess. Maybe they end up in prison. I don't know. But death, I guess, would be one of those absolutes. But I guess if we broke that down, I could spend all night talking about, well, what really is death? Is it a rebirth? Is it a move? So don't get me going on that. Like, we can talk that one all night long. But no absolutes when it comes to beekeeping techniques and methods. If anything, it used to be absolutely don't crack your lids open in the wintertime and wait until April. Man, if you did that in Ohio right now, you would be in a sad situation, because if you wait till April this year, you're going to be cracking your lid finding out where'd all my bees go, because they're up in this tree. So I think swarm season is going to come, kind of early there. So
we did have a question I wanted to address real quick.
Okay.
You missed it though, because you were talking.
Imagine that.
Yeah, no, it was Grumpy Bill's bees.
Grumpy
He was
Bill,
asking
Grumpy
about
Bill.
how you guys stop broody hens.
Oh, I met Grumpy Bill at Hive Life. So good to see you.
I actually,
The question is,
yeah, how do you guys stop broody hens? And I do that one of two ways. I either block off their favorite laying box to kind of break their cycle and get them out of that area, or I collect their eggs as often as I possibly can. And they kind of get over that cycle of wanting to go broody. So, but they kind of go in and out of cycles. It's usually about once a year.
and for us being frugal homesteaders, I don't know that do we ever really want to stop a broody hen, because there's always one we can count on. It seems like every year that will raise a little clutch of hens, and she'll see them all the way through and train them up and get them going. So for the most part,
it depends. There are times where it's just not ideal for her to do that, and it doesn't fit my needs. And so I will go ahead and gather her eggs, and I have to kind of fight her for them. And she's willing to peck me, and I'm willing to push her away. And so we kind of go back and forth until she's done being broody. But yeah, there are times where I let them go, and that's okay too. That's how I stop that.
Our mobile chicken coop is in desperate need of an overhaul. I think we just need to build something different.
Yeah.
But I built that thing on an old 4x8 Harbor Freight trailer that was just man, I can't say any bad words on here, but
a real dog turd.
It was just it was a yard sausage of a chicken, or of a trailer. And so, hey, it made a great chicken tractor. So we built this coop on this thing. We got to move it around with a 4-wheeler and, keep them fresh and all that. And of course the tires were always flat. And then it was like, okay, if I have to go out and move it, then I got to go do this and do that. And one thing led to another, and it's pretty much stayed stationary
in the same spot for about 2 years
but
now.
I think I built that thing for
some rough sawn lumber.
The rough sawn lumber. I had more in screws.
Metal.
I had more in screws than anything. We actually found the metal in a pile here at the farm.
Yeah.
And so I maybe had $50 in that entire thing.
Yeah.
And it worked great.
It's done its time.
It worked great for a long time, but it's time to freshen that rascal up for sure. It's getting a little bit too wore out. But by the time we get around to that, there's going to be pigs coming that we have to get them going. Luckily, the pigs have hard perimeter fencing, and that will just give them paddocks to rotate throughout the woods. So that won't be quite so bad. So as far as like the big animal things that I'm thinking of is probably keeping pigs rotated through the woods this year, and then trying to maybe freshen up that chicken coop or something that's kind of on the forefront. Getting the garden in and having spending some time in the garden, I think is going to be important this year too.
There was a comment about it's been so wet that it's been hard to get those cold crops in, and you're exactly right. It has been so wet. We've had a lot of rain, and I think that's why I've kind of waited, because just going against what my garden says it's going to allow me to do is really a waste of my time. So I'm waiting. I'm just being patient and waiting until I'm not going to muck through everything and just make a huge mess. So, because the equipment I need to get to where I need to get this year to freshen a few things up is just going to make a real big mess.
Oh, if you have to put something in 4-wheel drive to get the work done in the garden, it's probably worth putting off and being a little bit later on your timing than it is making the mess. And boy, have we made.
We almost got a tractor stuck once in the garden
goodness.
trying to get a couple things done. That was a nightmare. That was an almost greenhouse going down the hillside.
If we need a track loader to get into the garden, it's probably time to just, it's probably a little bit wet.
We'll just wait.
But that is one thing interesting about our neck of the woods, is we're in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah.
And so we've had elevations, upwards of 1,070 feet or so.
Yeah.
Is where the barn's at, and it drops down to like 700 and some at the very bottom of the ravines.
Yeah.
And so when the glaciers came through and just cut all the topsoil and took it down to Tennessee, all we had was clay. And we ended up with we have a lot of hillside springs everywhere.
Yeah.
And so there is no issue with water. The problem is it's usually too much water.
Yeah.
And so you get in a time like now where you get the freeze and thaw and everything's pumping again and working, and we get some heavy storms. I mean, that soil just turns to a bog, and it takes it a little while to dry out
over top of clay
because of the heavy clay. It just takes so long. You end up, causing yourself more headache because what it takes to actually get anything done, we just stop, because what usually happens is it always leads to a chain or a toe strap or this or that, and then something breaks, and then for all the aggravation and the stuff that we've broke to try to push and get stuff done based on no, that doesn't even work. Don't even try to do it on the calendar necessarily. Just do it when the conditions are right.
I have to say, every year when I think I should have done this or I should have done that, I still get stuff in. We still get a harvest of something. It might not be as big as I want or as many things as I want, but I just know that I can only do so much. So there's that.
Yeah.
I am extremely, extremely jealous of Mr. Tennessee Tim's soil.
He's got the good stuff. I think
I got the clay.
Good Lord cut our topsoil off and gave it to Tim, because I guess, I mean, they have beautiful weather.
Yeah.
Very temperate year round.
Yeah.
They have all the topsoil.
Yeah.
It's Tennessee. I mean, it's like,
West
Virginia is almost
awesome.
heaven.
Yes.
Tennessee is second place to West Virginia for sure.
Yeah.
But that's all part of the whole thing there. So what do we have in Ohio? What makes us great? We're nuts. Buckeyes, we're nuts. I mean, I love the hills. I love the seasons. I love the snow. I love being able to change and watch the seasons go.
Yeah.
That I think is helpful for a lot of things. One thing that we have that Tennessee doesn't is chill hours for apples and some certain fruits and things that we can do and get by with. And so there's that. There's always trade-offs, I guess. But anyways, Susie, what else we want to talk about tonight before we want to take a couple questions and then
well, it is you're an hour in, Mr. Burns, so we want to make sure we let people go a relatively good time tonight. And yes, if there's questions, we can take them. I tried to answer a few. I hate cutting you off though to answer somebody, so I try to wait, and then my brain goes, "Who said that? What did they say?"
There's a bunch of great folks on tonight. Dwayne Van Bargen, Brian Walkinspaw. We've got Todd from Loma Vista Bee Co., Walker Bee Ranch, Hale Hives, David Lewis, Roy Adams, the Death Wish beekeeper himself is on here. We got Grumpy Bill's Bees, JC Apiary, Mike Berry, Drop Tine, which is Chris, our local guys here. Flower Street Farm, the one and only Bee Original Tennessee Tim, David Lewis, Dan Weaver. The list goes on. Gary Stewart. I've seen you guys here pop up a bunch tonight, so I'm going to thank you for spending some time with us tonight. It's, there's so much more that we'll say as we unpack still, literally. I'm just getting the cameras back out and getting the interviews uploaded. A lot of great interviews. I got one coming up with Andrew Connor with WhooWhee's Press. Just a super neat guy, and just had this big, super cool booth spread of just bunches and bunches of books. And so we'll talk about what books did I buy from the Honey in the Hills conference, from the WhooWhee's press booth? Well, we'll have to stay tuned and find out, but I'm really excited about them. They're really neat books. I
He was
found that
very kind.
there's not, gotta be careful how I say it. I am not, I have a hard time with books. I will read something and I'll read the page and I'll get to the bottom of the page and I'll ask myself, hey dummy, did you actually read that? And I'll argue with myself, well, yeah, I read it because I'm at the bottom of the page and I'm seeing the page number. Well, what did you just read? Well, I don't know. So then I'll start back at the top and I'll try to read it again. I'll go through it a second time trying to pay attention. I'll get to the bottom of the page and it says, okay, now did you read it? Can you move on? You have a whole book to read. And then I'll find myself saying, oh, no, I didn't read it. And then so I have the decision. Do I read it for a third time or do I put the book away? For some reason, a lot of books, I have a hard time reading them. Even if I'm excited about the information, I don't know if it's the way that they're written, if it's the format, if it's the font, something about it, I just can't read. But the books that I absolutely gobbled up and devoured, and I've read from cover to cover several times, were all the essentials lines of books. Increased essentials, queen rearing essentials, bee sex essentials, and now I'm looking forward to a brand new one to kind of dig into beekabulary essentials, which I think is a much needed book that has solid points of reference for the bee vocabulary when it comes to beekeeping. So that's a really neat book. I'm interested in taking a look out. But what other books did Greg buy at the Honey in the Hills conference? We're going to talk about those later on this year because they are really neat. One of them, especially, is really, really awesome. We're going to talk about that later on this year. And we've got Mike Berry is currently got a queen piping next to him in his incubator.
That's so cool.
That is cool.
Love that.
That's great.
Absolutely
okay, I am really
that.
behind on the comments here, guys. I just can't seem to. Let's see.
What was your favorite talk? Oh, you missed one.
I can't see the thing.
Oh, no, stop. What is your favorite talk you gave at the Honey in the Hills?
My favorite talk I gave at the Honey in the Hills, Newbies, West Virginia. My favorite talk was one that I put together just for that conference. And it was Homestead Beekeeping, Making Ends Meet, and Creating Abundance. And I'm gonna try not to get choked up tonight about it, but I did get choked up given the talk, because things haven't always been like this for us. We had a life-changing event that I shouldn't have walked away from, and I get into that a little bit. But ever since then, every day is a gift. Every day that the good Lord wakes me up on my own, I'm on my own 2 feet, and I'm breathing, is a tremendous blessing. And once we started looking at life like that, we decided to make some drastic change, get out of the city, get our kids and our family out to a piece of ground, no matter what it would cost, no matter what it would take. And it was hard, and it still is hard. And we're learning right alongside our kids all of these things. And I dig into that for that talk, and for that, sharing that with folks, I think is important, because I think it's really easy for someone who presents information, either a podcast, a YouTube channel, or in front of a crowd. You know, unfortunately there is a certain sense of, I don't want to say reverence, but sometimes people can be put on a pedestal. And what I wanted to do was share that, hey, I am blessed to be here today sharing this information. Here's how we went from 0 to hundreds of colonies. But more importantly, along the way, we found ways to create abundance within its system to where we could cash flow the bee yard while raising animals, while making ends meet. And then we could use all that abundance and reinvest right back into the bee yard. And that's what got us here today. It was starting with 4 colonies and finding ways to grow medicinals and herbs and fruits and goats and chickens and rabbits and cats. We never ate the cats, but hey, if times got tough, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Don't say that.
But anyways, I could go on all night long, but that's what that talk was for.
Yeah.
Was to get
Sounds
into,
like your
into that
favorite, huh?
nitty gritty where we get into the homestead permaculture. Let's actually raise and grow a business, and the things that we did along the way. I really enjoyed that. So great question. I do have that recorded. I really got to spend a little bit of time thinking about if I want to put that talk out on our YouTube channel. I wanted to create something special for those folks, and so I don't know if I will end up sharing. I think we probably will. It's more of me. I don't know how much I was crying my eyes out, but it was a lot of the things it's sometimes hard to talk about that point in our life, but it's an important thing to talk about. So if you think that's something that you would like to hear in the future, or you want more of that story, drop us a comment in this video afterwards, and maybe we will put that out there. The more I think about it, maybe it's probably something we should put out. Maybe it'll help somebody else along, or they'll maybe come out of their comfort zone and be able to share some things. But that was my favorite talk. It's an amazing thing to be able to share what we do with folks. And I think we have an enormous amount of responsibility when we do that, to be honest, and to operate with integrity, and to not paint this picture of this romantic farm dream where everything is just hunky-dory all the time, because it's not. It's bloody, it's muddy, it's full of guts, there's sleepless nights, there's trying to make ends meet, there's a lot of, but there's a lot of joy, and there's a lot of happiness, and there's a lot of peace, knowing that God has given us this opportunity to live life like this, to put us in touch with people, to make a positive impact on their life, to raise our kids in a way to where they can also grow up and be a lighthouse for others. So for that, it's an enormous blessing, and we thank God every day to be put in this position. So it's one of those things where as we mature on how we share what it is that we're doing, I think a lot more content is going to come out with that backbone in it. There's another fun talk that I hope to be able to get out. It was a panel discussion from the conference, hosted by Mike Lamp, asking the question, how has social media and YouTube kind of influenced what you do as a YouTube channel, or as a beekeeper, or as a business? It was a great conversation. It was Dr. Humberto, Fred Dunn, Paul Kelly, and myself. And I got to say, I've not looked at the footage yet, but I can remember feeling that fire on the inside and getting stirred up about a couple of the things there. It's one of those things where I got to look back and see what I said. But sometimes Brian and Bruce always know, they sometimes laugh, because I'll get fired up on the inside about something, and I'll say, well, I've got to choose my words here. I got to be careful what I say, because there's so much I want to say about things that if I just let the passion overtake me, all the words come out. And I want to make sure that I'm responsible with my words, and I'm painting things in an appropriate picture. I can remember getting fired up in that conversation there, so I'm looking forward to getting that one out too. But yeah, Hail Hive says, I think I see my honey in the background, second shelf down under the NIF white bucket. There is a bunch of hails. We've got let's see, we can't see
we
it.
have to keep some of this honey.
There's
we
a
have
whole
tons of honey
thing up here you can't
but we have to keep it in this warm room, because if we leave it over at the shop where we normally display it in the winter, it will all.
I don't think I can turn this camera and get it back.
Don't. Yeah, if you do that, it's going to go bad.
Okay, well,
yeah, it could even knock over. Not really
Paul,
sure.
I also have a really cool, it looks like a bottle of wine, but it's honey. That's also up on the shelf here. We've got so much honey. Everything behind us here, everything up on the shelf we keep out here, where we can keep it warm. But what's going to be really cool is in the new shop. If you have ever stopped by our shop and gifted us honey, or if you saw us at a conference and gifted us honey, or if you sent us in the mail any honey, your honey and label is going to be on full display for everyone who comes and visits our shop. It's a way that we can keep all of you right along with us, a part of our journey. You guys make this whole thing special. So it's just a fun way we can keep you right out in the forefront, right in front of everybody too. So we're going to put together a really neat display at the shop, and where you guys are going to be the stars of the display. So I'm looking forward to getting that put together later on this year, and just showcasing all the awesome people out here in this beekeeping community. So Hail Hives, yes, you're out there. A lot of the people in this chat tonight, you're on that shelf and you're going to be on display. So that's awesome. Christina Adams asks, will y'all be at the fall conference by chance? I don't know about that yet. We're gonna have to see what the rest of this year kind of gets on. Right now we are entrenched in getting everything ready for queens and nukes, and then getting the shop built out. We'll see if that door is supposed to open, it will, and we'll walk through it. But right now, our focus is just getting it
down
done
to the grindstone.
It's just nose of the grindstone.
Yeah.
Right now. So, Christina Adams says that's the one I was sitting in, super informed. Well, I appreciate you spending some time with us there at the conference. There was a question here: Square Bee Honey Farms. Did they record the talks? If so, will you be posting on your channel? I did record both of my talks, but as far as everybody else goes, that was for kind of the attendees only for this year. Had we had the time, we would have recorded everybody and put them out there. But for right now, for this year, there's a bunch of great content you're going to start seeing circulating and cruising around, little snippets. Newbies, West Virginia. You're going to see stuff from the Mountaineers Beekeepers Association. You're going to see things from the YouTube content creators, and you're going to see a lot of interviews from us coming out too. So that's just a fun way to kind of share what's going on through all that. But Ron here says God has the path set for us. We just need to choose to follow it. That's true. That's it's been, the last couple years have been just an incredible journey. Of course, we give God the glory for that. It's just something that we, I can be really hard-headed and I can be really stubborn. I think that's a pretty fair statement to say. Look, she's giving me the eyes, like, yeah, no doubt. But one thing that's clear to see is that God does have a plan, and we're thankful that we have ears to hear, and that we've got 2 hands to do the work, and we wake up every morning to do the best that we can. So that's the awesome part. I'm trying to cruise through here on the comments here.
I'm just looking for question marks at this point because I don't want to.
Yep. Let's see. Okay. Newbies, West Virginia said, had so much fun hosting that. It was a blessing getting to hang out on the stage with y'all. And that's coming from Mike Lamp. Did a great job hosting that, and also took a fantastic video of me talking with Karen Teague at Fuzzy Nuggets. She has these really awesome, I don't want to say cute in a way that doesn't diminish or belittle what she's doing, but she makes these really cute, awesome miniature beehives that kids are excited to get in and work. I love that. And it was absolutely awesome to spend a little bit of time with Karen talking about that and what she's doing there. She's doing great things at Fuzzy Nugget. So that's going to be a fun one to get out. But Mike Lamp with Newbies, West Virginia, did the honor of holding the camera for me on that one. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm just scrolling through and see if you have any more questions before we check out tonight. It's almost 9:20 Eastern time, and Bruce's Bees is tuning in. Be sure that you check out the Bruce's Bees YouTube channel directly after this live chat, because I got a feeling old Bruce has got a brand new video is getting ready to premiere.
Awesome.
So that'd be pretty cool to check that out too. And okay, Charlie Vant says that both Fred Dunn and Castle Hives have great videos out. Awesome.
Yes,
So be sure you check those out too. Go over to Frederick Dunn and Castle Hives, their YouTube channels, and check out their take on the West Virginia Honey in the Hills conference. It's going to be awesome. Okay, well, I think my comments are behind there because it's looking like they all come through in like 10 or 20 at a time all at once. So I think we're lucky to get the what am I trying to say here?
Yep.
I can't figure out my words, which
Okay.
means it's probably
Probably
time
time.
to say no more words.
That's, oh my gosh, you said it.
I'm tired. I'm whipped. I'm sunburned.
Well, the
I'm
other
complaining.
thing
I'm
is,
sunburned. It's
you
been a great day
know,
in the
when
sun
you have a
today.
newborn baby, it's kind of the same way when you put a puppy in a cage that had its mom for,
Oh,
8 weeks. He is an amazing dog, but he whines a lot when you put him in a cage.
let's just say he's found his
And
voice
my eyes go like, what?
at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I'm not rolling
we
over
gotta-
this bed to get him again.
Gotta give credit to the kids though, because a lot of the times, even late at night, I can hear one or two of them coming out, or it'd be me or you to go take old Fritz out to go potty. But I'm looking forward. What a fun year that we've got in store. We've got the learning yard exploding. So many folks are going to be there every other Saturday. The new shop is going to be a work in progress throughout the year. It's going to be what it's going to be for right now. But to just have a place that folks can feel like they belong, to have a place that we can all share our journeys together.
Yeah.
We can take that and go right out to the bee yard and see it hands-on with the bees. That is an enormous opportunity and blessing, I think, for so many folks, just to have that sense of community, to have that fellowship. I think that's what I'm most excited about. So we're going to be busy doing our best to make that happen this year. There's so many little side things that I still haven't gotten done that I want to, like get the sawmill up and ripping and roaring.
I'm just hoping that, that some doors will open and we can get some chairs. Cause I mean, sitting on bee boxes is awesome, but,
Yep.
We almost snagged some and then they were like sold by the time I got there 15 minutes
later. We found
later,
150 chairs for $5 a piece with the chair rack. And as soon as we went to go get them, they were already gone. But Roy Adams knows me well. He says, Greg with no words.
Yeah, but notice he's still talking though.
Notice he's still talking. Chris, hey. See, I started thinking about the gun dog, hunting pheasants, and being in the field in the fall and the wintertime, and that percolating coffee and oh man. So that gets me going.
Fun year.
Greg, our buddy Jason at Bohemia Bees, what's your next speaking engagement, Greg? Great question. Let me pull up the calendar. It's coming up here pretty soon, I think. Let's see where we at. We're at the 26th.
My brain says it is a Fairfield County.
The Fairfield County Beekeepers Association
presentation
here in the Lancaster, Ohio area.
Yep.
Is April the 18th.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple more happening in, I think, May, pretty much at least one a month, it seems like, until the fall time. So Jason, thanks for asking. If you're a bee club or you're hosting a conference, if you're interested in having us out, go to our website, naturesimagefarm.com, click on that contact us, shoot us an email. We'd love to talk to you about it. We're almost sold out of nukes and almost sold out of packages. I think by the time we get together next Sunday, we'll probably be sold out.
I think you need to shut off. But
we'll probably be shutting the nukes down and the packages and the queens here shortly, probably within the next week or so. For the nukes, for the 4-8 package pickup, and then for the June queens, those are going to be sold out. Or actually, most folks are wanting July through September. So if you're interested in nukes, packages, queens, or supplies, you can always visit us at naturesimagefarm.com. Shoot us an email, give us a call. We're happy to talk with you and make sure that you get what you need and you know what you're looking at there. But man, I'm trying to think of anything else kind of going on here. I'm brain dead.
That's it for now then.
I think that's pretty. You want to call it? Okay. Well, hey guys, thanks for taking time to listen to the Nature's Image Farm podcast, the live chat tonight. And then if you're listening to the replay later, we really appreciate you guys. We cannot thank you enough for everything that you do out in the community to be a lighthouse to others. As always, we'll remind you to be the lighthouse
and be the change that you want to see in this world. We'll see you next time, guys. Good night.